Welcome to the CEO Shift with your host, Shawndel Spader, owner and CEO of Spader Group. In this series, you'll hear fast, focused conversations with business leaders and experts who've made the real shift it takes to scale past the plateau. Each episode delivers high-impact insights designed to help you cut through the noise, make smarter decisions, and lead with clarity.
All right. Hello and welcome to the CEO Shift. I have with us today the wonderful and brilliant Mr. Henry DeVries. He is a CEO at Indie Books International. He works with agency owners and business leaders who want to market with a book they are proud of. In fact, he has written, edited, and published more than 200 books in the last decade. He has written 20 books of his own and is a senior staff writer with the California Business Journal. Henry, I am so honored to have you here today, and I'm really excited for our audience to hear all the wisdom and nuggets you're going to share with us today. Thank you.
Well, Shawndel, thank you. What I'm going to share is experience, and experience is what you got when you wanted something else.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Well, let's dive right in. Experience runs right along with that zone of genius, and that's exactly what we're here for, right? That experience leads to your expertise, your genius, all of those things. What part of that for you do you want to focus on today for our audience?
Well, I've been really interested in the Japanese philosophy of Ikigai. And you may have heard of it, you may not, but we would roughly translate the word to purpose. But in the Japanese concept, it's four concentric circles. One, what are you really good at? What are you really good at? And for me, that's creating books. And then two, what do you really love to do? Well, that's creating books. And then three, what will people pay you for? Well, people have paid me millions of dollars to help them create books. And then the fourth thing is, what do you do that you love, that people pay you for, and that it helps the world? And I've helped over 200 authors put out books on how to solve problems. And I don't know the ripple effect, but millions of people have been impacted by these authors writing and talking about the books on how to solve common problems.
I've got a bookshelf full of books that you guys have produced and published, and your authors. And I just the books that you guys produce I really love them. I think I have picked up every single one that I have been able to read. I've got some still on the shelf I need to still read, in full disclosure. But I feel like when I see your stamp on that book, I know it's going to be impactful. I know it's going to have a purpose, and it's going to have something that's going to lead me forward as a CEO, as a human. It's going to lead me forward in the world to be able to show up in a greater space. And I just think that you guys have a really unique audience within your set of authors, that's really cool to just be a witness to and be able to benefit from. So thank you.
Well, thank you for noticing. One of my authors, we bumped into each other in Las Vegas and we went out to have dinner. He was actually performing in Vegas. He's a magician, international magician and an author. And he said, all of the authors I've met from indie books, um, they all have this spiritual side to them, different religions, but a spiritual side. I don't think that's an accident. I said, no, it's not. We have a criteria list of 31 things we look for in an author. And some people are surprised that we don't say yes to everybody. In fact, we only say yes to one in four that we talk to.
Wow.
We're nice or we'll send them to other places, but we want a certain kind of person who is passionate about a certain group of people and helping them solve a specific problem. And so thank you for noticing our books are problem solvers.
Yeah, they definitely are. So with that, clearly you're very passionate about who you work with, their purpose in the world, what they're delivering. What's a place of passion for yourself that you're sharing with our audience today? A mix of CEOs, business owners, agency owners. What's that thing that's really kind of that burning passion for you today?
Oh, well, let's talk about that. I've written 20 books around my passion. And I was a Forbes columnist, paid for 7 years to write a weekly column about that passion topic. And now I write monthly columns for the California Business Journal, and it's on that passion. But let's go back in time. The year is 1997. I'm in Toronto, Canada. I'm vice president of a international financial services company, and I was VP PR marketing. That's was my job, and they had us do this assessment, and they brought in this very high priced consultant, and he met with everybody and on the VP level. So I'm brought in, and he says, I have some bad news here. I've looked at your assessments and I've looked at your profile, and you're never going to be CEO of this company. A matter of fact, the only job you're qualified for is the job you're currently in marketing. And I see in your future that you will never be a CEO of any company. And I said, no company at all? He says, no. I said, there's not any kind of company that I could be the CEO of? And he says, well, maybe a marketing company. And
Oh my
here I
gosh.
am for the last 12 years. I call myself the Chief Encouragement Officer, the CEO. But Indie Books International, we've helped 200 people publish, and there's probably 20 to 30 people on our team, depending on what we need at the time. And here I am, and I've created a marketing firm like no other. And that was my mission, that I would create my masterpiece would be a marketing firm like no other. Sometimes I say we're a marketing firm disguised as a book publisher, but really what we are, we're in the authority making business. We help people be an authority expert in their field, and that attracts right fit clients to them. And we like to say you can't spell authority without the word author.
Oh, I love it. See, I never would have picked that up because again, that whole author world, that's totally your lane. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so as CEO now, like how do you take that feedback that you received? Like, I guess I have so many questions about the purpose of the feedback and why this person thought that was necessary, which you probably don't know and can't answer. But, again, like it wasn't necessarily constructive coming from his lips, but you made it constructive. Like, how'd you do that? Like
Well, one of
that's
the
a gift.
things, yeah, one of the things he said was that uh, you've studied marketing and communications, but you haven't studied business. So how
Mm.
would you make business decisions? Well, I went out and got an executive MBA from San Diego State University, 2-year program. I had left that company and became president of a large advertising and PR firm in San Diego. And as part of it, I said, I need 2 Fridays a month to go to school, and I'll also work on the weekends. And in 2 years, I had my MBA, and I learned about accounting and finance and law and HR, all of these topics that you need. In some ways, I understood why he said, but that was just knowledge that I lacked,
Right.
so get the knowledge. Um, the other thing is, I am motivated by people who tell me that I couldn't do it. In the corporate world, I uh, had a boss and senior VP, and I had a budget of a couple of $1 million and 10 employees, and the VP, senior VP at Midway said, "I don't see you hitting your key performance indicators, and I don't see you staying within budget." And at the end of the year, I had exceeded every key performance indicator and I was under budget. And he
Right.
said, you know, I just said that to motivate you because I know who you are. If I tell you you can't do something, you are going to show me that you can. And I said, well, well played. Well played.
Yeah. That was a long year. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's it. Not everybody can do that though, Henry. So I think that's really great that you're able to take that feedback and say, this isn't about ability. This is about, I don't have the knowledge. Fine. I can find the knowledge. I can fill the gap. I can do things to do better. I think that actually ties right back into why you work with the folks that you do, the people who are here to solve problems and move people, themselves, situations forward.
I left a six-figure job at the University of California, San Diego. I was the assistant dean, and um, I had what's called a career appointment, which is like tenure. I couldn't be fired, um,
Right.
unless for a cheating scandal with the
Right,
chancellor's
right,
wife. I mean, it would be really hard to get rid of me from there.
right.
And I was past president of the Alumni Association, and I knew everybody from the janitor up to the president of the entire University of California system. I would have dinner
Yeah.
with him in his mansion and up in Berkeley. But there was something about these agency owners and consultants, and I helped them write their books, but then they were frustrated when it came to publishing. So at 56, I went into the university. They thought I'd had a mental breakdown, by the way. That's a longer story, but they thought I had a mental breakdown when I said, I'm going to resign my position and work full time. I'm going to create a publishing company to help these people get successfully published.
What was, tell me more. Like, tell me more about, I mean, obviously it took a lot of probably discussion, soul searching, fear, overcoming said fear to be able to even walk in the door and do that. Um, Tell me more
Well,
about that process. Like, I mean,
um,
that's,
I actually, my wife, Vicky, is a year younger than me. She was 55, and um, she, her position had been eliminated, and she had to figure out, if she stays within the university somehow or just retires. Um, and I talked her into, let's have you retire, and we'll start this business on the side that we'd had before. And I went through all the paperwork with her and figured out that she should take a monthly payment and health insurance rather than a lump sum. Um, and then I said, well, I've been with the university 10 years. What would I get if I retired today? And they wrote a figure down and showed it to me on paper. And I looked at it and I said, well, this is a very big decision. I'll have to think about this carefully. I retire. And they go like, whoa, whoa. Because um, they said, okay, you're going to have to talk to the vice chancellor. So I meet with the vice chancellor, and she makes me read aloud 3 pages of the policy manual. And then she says, now I need you to take this document home and have your spouse sign it. I said, wait a minute. I just helped her retire. I didn't have to sign any documents. She said, yeah, I didn't have to explain to the chancellor why she retired. So
right,
So the chancellor's office called me in and said, if you're not happy there, we'll find you. There's lots of jobs.
right,
University's like $1 billion corporation. It's like there are
right,
plenty of,
right,
and there are not a lot of MBAs who've successfully ran a business,
mhm,
working there. I had
right,
taken the division of extension from 22 million a year to 45 million. My title was assistant dean. I was really the chief marketing officer. And all that money
right,
was not state money. That was companies and individuals paying us $45 million to be educated. So all that going on. Um, but but I knew I wanted to create this masterpiece, and I knew it was time to
mhm,
do it. And I sat down with Vicky and I said, here's this plan. We both leave these cush jobs, you know,
mhm.
quasi-government, jobs.
Yeah.
And we restart the company. And remember when we were first married, we said, let's retire when we're 55, and we would do all these things. We had our list. She goes, I remember. I said, well, if you sign on and do this, we'll do those things in the next 10 years. And
Mm.
Vicky said, I'll sign on one condition. Make it 5 years we do everything on the list. I said, deal. So in the first 5 years, every year we would spend 2 weeks in Europe. We were tracing down her
Awesome.
relatives. She was distant related to the King of Ireland, to the King of
Okay.
Wales, to Lord Throckmorton. By the way, Lord Throckmorton was Catholic, and he tried to assassinate the king. And
Oh.
yeah, they sent him on a tour of England. First, they cut him in four parts, and then sent him on a tour of England. But the
I think that's a
Throckmorton
different
estate,
podcast.
the Throckmortons are still living there, and the rest of it is for tours and school buses are there. And
Oh,
I
goodness.
said, your relatives were famous, but they always seem to be on the losing end of the stick.
Maybe we should retreat this plan.
Yeah, yeah. It's like she goes, yeah, I wasn't. I was probably related to the servant girl or something like that.
Right. Love it. Well, Henry, again, like all of these stories that you're sharing, I I mean, I can see how it has shaped you to be the CEO that you are of your agency, of the publishing company. Eh, What is one nugget? And I know there's tens of thousands, I'm
Yeah.
sure, but what's one nugget that we can share that you think would be really important for our audience to hear that shifts their beliefs, helps them grow their business, helps them lead more effectively? What's something that we can share with them today?
Make your brand generosity. And by
Mm.
generosity, I mean give valuable information away. And even I tell my authors, I said, your $20 book, that's like giving it away. Your royalty is probably $5 off that book. But what it does is it tells the world you're an abundance thinker, you're interested in other people, you care. And when they know you care, then they want to know how you serve. And
Mm.
if it's in their best interest, they will choose you every time.
That's awesome. That's a really great nugget. Thank you.
You're
Henry,
welcome.
if folks are thinking about writing a book, wanting to know more, about how they would even go about getting started, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you or someone at Indie Books?
Thanks for asking. Go to our website, indiebooksintl.com and /events. And every month we're putting on events. I do a book kickoff class where I help people answer the 7 questions you need to answer before you write a book. It's $365. If they mention Shawndel, it's free. I will scholarship them in. I
Oh,
also
thank
will
you.
give them a 30-minute strategy call. No selling, no kidding. And we'll just talk about the strategy of being an authority and how they can do more writing and speaking and options for that. There's also other events we put on, some for free and some for fee, but generosity is our brand. We give information away. If there's a book of mine that would help you, send me an email and I will send you a copy of the book. No charge.
Mm. Henry, that is super generous. And I love that the suggestion and the living proof of it is all right here in one. So thank you for that. That's very kind of you. I am grateful. Like I said, I've got a stack of books that are not only from Indie Books, but I've got a handful of yours as well. And I absolutely love that you're offering this up to the audience. So guys, please do take him up on this. Um, Henry, it's been my pleasure to have you here today. Thank you so much. I look forward to getting this launched and into everybody's awareness.
As they say at Chick-fil-A, my pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Henry. Have a good day.
Thanks for joining us for the CEO Shift. If today's conversations challenged your thinking or helped you see your business differently, it's time to put what you learned into action. If you want practical guidance on making better CEO level decisions, download the CEO Decision Guide now. This framework is what leaders use to stop spinning their wheels and start scaling with clarity. Download your free copy at spadergroup.com/CEO-guide and start making decisions like a CEO today. We'll see you next time on the CEO Shift.